Welcome to Mayhem CDH, where questionable decks meet questionable pilots. For this week, we've gone back on last week's no blue message and are playing everyone's favorite, the blue-white control mirror. Get ready for a lot of land pass. With that being said, let's check out the pod today. First, we have Aiden on blue-white control, a classic archetype that seeks to deny opponents' plays, draw cards, and win with late-game value. And Noah, also on blue-white control, a classic archetype that seeks to deny opponents' plays, draw cards, and win with late-game value. And now, with each pilot in their respective corner of the screen, let us begin. And for those of you in the Ames area, stick around to find out how you can get 10% off your next Mayhem Ames purchase. Noah plays a Misty Rainforest and passes. Aiden draws, also plays a Misty Rainforest, and at the end of turn, Noah cracks his Misty Rainforest, paying a life and fetching up a Tundra onto the battlefield. Still at end step, he plays Mystical Tutor, fetching up an Ancestral Recall onto the top of his library, and the turn moves to Noah. Noah draws and casts Ancestral Recall, targeting himself, drawing 3 cards, plays an island, and passes. Aiden draws, plays a Polluted Delta, and passes. Noah draws and plays Serum Visions, drawing a card and scrying 2 to the bottom, plays an island, and passes. Aiden draws, plays a Hollowed Fountain tapped, and at the end of turn, Noah plays Impulse, looking at the top 4, putting 1 into his hand, the rest to the bottom, and the turn moves to Noah. Noah draws, plays a Marsh Flats, and passes. Aiden draws, plays a Volcanic Island, and at the end of turn, Noah casts Opt, scrying to the top and drawing, and cracks his Marsh Flats, paying a life and fetching up a Rogrin Triome onto the battlefield tapped. The turn moves to Noah. Noah draws, plays a Hull of Storm Giants tapped, and passes. Aiden draws, plays an Arid Mesa, and cracks it, paying a life and fetching up a Plains onto the battlefield, and casts Narset, Parter of Veils. In response, Noah casts Dovin's Veto, countering Narset. Aiden passes. Noah draws, plays an island, a Monastery Mentor, and passes. Aiden draws, plays a Wasteland, and passes. Noah draws and moves to combat, attacking Aiden with Mentor. Aiden takes the hit, and in his second main phase, Noah plays his own Wasteland, and at the end of turn, Aiden cracks their Misty Rainforest, paying a life, fetching up an island onto the battlefield. They play March of Otherworldly Light, where X equals 3, targeting Monastery Mentor. In response, Noah casts Counterspell, creating a Monk token through Mentor, countering March. They play a Mystic Gate and sacrifice Wasteland, destroying Noah's Hall of Storm Giants, and at the end of turn, Noah sacrifices his Wasteland, destroying Aiden's Volcanic Island. The turn moves to Noah. Noah draws and plays Preordain, creating a Monk token through Mentor, scrying 2 to the top and drawing a card. He moves to combat and attacks Aiden with the Monk token and Mentor. Aiden takes the hit, and in his second main phase, Noah plays an Iganjo, Seed of the Empire, and passes. Aiden draws, plays a Castle Vantress, and casts Supreme Verdict, destroying all creatures, and at the end of turn, Noah Plane Cycles Timeless Dragon, fetching up a Hollowed Fountain into his hand. The turn moves to Noah. Noah draws and puts Hollowed Fountain into play untapped, paying 2 life, and passes. Aiden draws and plays Consider, surveilling to the top, drawing, and passing. Noah draws, and at the end of turn, Aiden cracks their Polluted Delta, paying a life and fetching up an island onto the battlefield. They activate Castle Vantress, scrying 2, 1 top and 1 bottom. Still at end step, Noah delves some of his graveyard to cast Dig Through Time, looking at the top 7, putting 2 into his hand, the rest to the bottom, and the turn moves to Aiden. Aiden draws and casts Counterbalance. In response, Noah hard casts Force of Negation. In response, Aiden casts Mana Leak, countering Force of Negation. Counterbalance resolves, Aiden plays a Rogrin Triome tapped, and at the end of turn, Noah exiles Path to Exile to help cast March of Otherworldly Light, where X equals 2, targeting Counterbalance. Counterbalance triggers, revealing Impulse. Counterbalance is exiled, and the turn moves to Noah. Noah draws and eternalizes Timeless Dragon, exiling it and creating a 4/4 token copy. Noah passes. Aiden draws and casts Impulse, looking at the top 4, putting 1 into their hand, and the rest on the bottom. Aiden passes. Noah draws and moves to combat, attacking Aiden with the dragon. Aiden takes the hit, and Noah passes. Aiden draws and plays Council's Judgment, with both players voting for the Eternalized token, which is exiled, and at the end of turn, Noah flashes in Snapcaster Mage. In response, Aiden casts Mana Drain, targeting Snapcaster. In response, Noah casts Spell Snare, targeting Mana Drain. In response, Aiden delves some of their graveyard to cast Logic Knot, where X equals 5, targeting Spell Snare. In response, Noah casts Cryptic Command, countering Logic Knot and drawing a card. Then, Spell Snare counters Mana Drain and Snapcaster resolves, with Noah choosing no target, and the turn moves to Noah. Noah draws and moves to combat, attacking Aiden with Snapcaster. Aiden takes the hit, and in his second main phase, Noah plays a Karakas and passes. Aiden draws, and passes. Noah draws and moves to combat, attacking Aiden with Snapcaster. Before damage, Aiden casts Settle the Wreckage. In response, Noah channels Otawara Soaring City, bouncing Snapcaster to his hand. Settle resolves, and in his second main phase, Noah plays a Volcanic Island and passes. Aiden draws, plays an island, and at the end of turn, Noah flashes in Snapcaster Mage, targeting and flashing back Ancestral Recall, targeting himself. In response, Aiden casts Dovin's Veto, countering Recall. Still in end step, Noah plays Consider, surveilling one to the graveyard and drawing. The turn moves to Noah. Noah draws and moves to combat, attacking Aiden with Snapcaster. Aiden takes the hit, and in his second main phase, Noah casts Hard Evidence, investigating and creating its crab token, and at end step, Aiden activates Castle Vantress, scrying 2 to the bottom, and the turn moves to Aiden. Aiden draws and casts Brainstorm, drawing 3 and putting 2 back on top. They cast Jace, the Mind Sculptor. In response, Noah casts Mana Leak, countering Jace, and Aiden follows it up with a Ponder. In response, Noah cracks his clue, drawing a card, and casts Lose Focus, countering Ponder. Out of options, Aiden sees the writing on the wall, and Noah wins the game. Aiden plays an island and pays 2 life to cast Gataxian Probe, looking at Noah's hand and drawing. They play an Ancestral Recall, targeting themselves, drawing 3, and passing. Noah draws, plays a Prismatic Vista, and passes. Aiden draws, plays a Volcanic Island, and casts Sleight of Hand, looking at the top 2, putting 1 into their hand and the other to the bottom. Aiden passes. Noah draws, plays Hall of Storm Giants, and passes. Aiden draws, plays a Plains, and passes. Riveting gameplay here. Noah draws, plays a Wasteland, and sacrifices Wasteland, targeting Volcanic Island. In response, Aiden casts Impulse, looking at the top 4, putting 1 into their hand and the rest on the bottom. Then, Volcanic Island is destroyed, and Noah passes. Aiden draws, puts a Hallowed Fountain into play untapped, paying 2 life, and at the end of turn, Noah casts Consider, surveilling to the top, drawing, and cracks his Prismatic Vista, paying a life, fetching up a Plains onto the battlefield. Still in end step, Noah casts Tithe, fetching up a Tundra and Plains into his hand. The turn moves to Noah. Noah draws, plays a Tundra, and passes. Aiden draws, plays a Fabled Passage, and passes. Noah draws, plays an island, and passes. Aiden draws, plays a Caracas, and passes. Noah draws, plays a Plains, and finally, at the end step, Aiden casts Memory Deluge, looking at the top 4, putting 2 into their hand, the rest on the bottom, and the turn moves to Aiden. Aiden draws, plays an island, a Hull Breacher, and at the end of turn, Noah casts March of Otherworldly Light, where X equals 3. In response, Aiden casts Spell Pierce, countering March. Still at end step, Noah casts Swords to Plowshares, exiling Hull Breacher and gaining Aiden 3 life. The turn moves to Noah. Noah draws, plays a Celestial Colonnade tapped, and passes. Aiden draws, plays an island, and passes. Noah draws, and passes. Aiden draws, plays an Odawara Soaring City, and at the end of turn, Noah casts Ice, tapping Aiden's Hallowed Fountain and drawing a card. The turn moves to Noah. Noah draws and plays Ponder, looking at the top 3, rearranging, and drawing. He plays a Mystic Gate and casts Teferi, Time Raveler. In response, Aiden delves some of their graveyard to help cast Logic Knot, where X equals 4, countering Teferi. At the end of turn, Aiden flashes in the Wandering Emperor, and downticks her, creating a 2/2 Samurai token. The turn moves to Aiden. Aiden draws and moves to combat, attacking Noah with the Samurai. Noah takes the hit, and in their second main phase, Aiden downticks the Wandering Emperor, creating a 2/2 Samurai token, and plays Narset, Parter of Veils, downticking her, looking at the top 4, putting Swords to Plowshares in their hand and the rest on the bottom. Aiden passes. Noah draws and plays Prismatic Ending, exiling Narset and a Supreme Verdict, destroying all creatures, and at the end of turn, Aiden plays Brainstorm, drawing 3 and putting 2 back on top. The turn moves to Aiden. Aiden draws and plays Jace, the Mind Sculptor, and zeroes him, drawing 3 and putting 2 back on top. They play an Island, Uptick Emperor, and pass. Noah draws and plays Council's Judgment, with both players voting and exiling Jace. He plays an Odawara Soaring City, and at the end of turn, Aiden cracks their Fabled Passage, fetching up a Plains onto the battlefield. The turn moves to Aiden. Aiden draws and downticks Emperor, creating a 2/2 Samurai token, plays an island, and at the end of turn, Noah delves some of his graveyard to help cast Dig Through Time, looking at the top 7, putting 2 into his hand and the rest on the bottom. The turn moves to Noah. Noah draws, and at the end of turn, Aiden flashes back Memory Deluge. In response, Noah casts Mystic Confluence, choosing all modes. In response, Aiden casts Absorb, countering Confluence and gaining 3 life. Then, Deluge resolves, Aiden looks at the top 7, puts 2 into their hand, the rest to the bottom, and the turn moves to Aiden. Aiden draws, plays a Tundra, and upticks Emperor, giving the Samurai +1/+1 counter and first strike. They move to combat and attack Noah with the Samurai. Before damage, Noah casts Condemn, bottoming the Samurai token and gaining Aiden 3 life. Aiden passes. Noah draws, plays an island, and casts Jace, the Mind Sculptor. In response, Aiden casts Cryptic Command, countering Jace and drawing a card. Noah passes. Aiden draws, plays an island, downticks Emperor, creating a Samurai token, and passes. Noah draws, and at the end of turn, Aiden cycles Shark Typhoon, drawing a card and creating a 5/5 Shark token. The turn moves to Aiden. Aiden draws and upticks Emperor, giving the Samurai token a +1/+1 counter and first strike. They move to combat and attack Noah with everything. In response, Noah flashes in a Torrential Gearhulk. In response, Aiden casts Counterspell, targeting Gearhulk. In response, Noah casts Spell Snare, targeting Counterspell. In response, Aiden pays 2 life to cast Mental Misstep, countering Spell Snare. Seeing no way out, Noah sees the writing on the wall, and Aiden wins the game. Noah pays 2 life to cast Cataxian Probe, looking at Aiden's hand and drawing. He plays up Plains and passes. Aiden draws, plays an island, and passes. Noah draws, plays an island, and casts Sleight of Hand, looking at the top 2, putting 1 into his hand, the other to the bottom, and passing. Aiden draws, plays a Misty Rainforest, and passes. Noah draws, plays an island, and also passes. Aiden draws, plays a Tundra, and at the end of turn, Noah cycles Shark Typhoon, drawing and creating a 1/1 Shark token. The turn moves to Noah. Noah draws, plays a Scalding Tarn, and moves to combat, attacking Aiden with the Shark. Aiden takes the hit, and Noah passes. Aiden draws, and at the end of turn, Noah cracks his Scalding Tarn, paying a life. In response, Aiden cracks their Misty Rainforest, paying a life and fetching up a Hollowed Fountain into play untapped, paying 2 life. They flash in an Aven Mind Sensor. In response, Noah casts Memory Lapse, countering Mind Sensor and putting it on top of Aiden's library. Then, Noah fetches up a Rogran Triome onto the battlefield tapped, and the turn moves to Noah. Noah draws, puts a Hollowed Fountain into play untapped, paying 2 life, and moves to combat, attacking Aiden with the Shark. Aiden takes the hit, and Noah passes. Aiden draws, and passes. Noah draws, plays an island, and passes. Aiden draws, plays a Glacial Fortress, and also passes. Noah draws, and at the end of turn, Aiden casts Memory Deluge. In response, Noah casts Ancestral Recall, targeting himself, drawing 3 cards. Still in response, Noah casts Spell Pierce, countering Deluge. The turn moves to Aiden. Aiden draws, just can't find a land, and passes. Noah draws, plays an island, and casts Monastery Mentor. In response, Aiden casts Mana Drain, countering Mentor. Noah moves to combat and attacks Aiden with the Shark. Aiden takes the hit, and Noah passes. Aiden draws and adds 3 colorless mana through Mana Drain. They flashback Memory Deluge, looking at the top 7, putting 2 into their hand, the rest to the bottom, plays an island, and passes. Noah draws and plays Teferi, Time Raveler. It resolves, and Noah plays a Mystic Sanctuary, returning Ancestral Recall to the top of his library, and down takes Teferi, drawing a card, and passing. Aiden draws, plays a Windswept Heath, and at the end of turn, Noah casts Factor Fiction, revealing the top 5, with Aiden separating them into 2 piles. Noah takes Solitude and Serum Visions and puts the rest into his graveyard. The turn moves to Noah. Noah draws, uptakes Teferi, and plays Serum Visions, drawing and scrying 2 to the top. At the end of turn, Aiden cracks their Windswept Heath, paying a life and fetching up a Plains onto the battlefield. They cycle Shark Typhoon, drawing a card and creating a 4/4 Shark token. The turn moves to Aiden. Aiden draws, plays an island, and moves to combat, attacking Teferi with the Shark. Before damage, Noah flashes in Solitude, exiling the Shark and gaining Aiden 4 life. They follow it up with Council's Judgment. In response, Noah casts Ancestral Recall, targeting himself, drawing 3 cards. Then, both players vote for and exile Teferi, and Aiden passes. Noah draws, plays a Hall of Storm Giants tapped, and moves to combat, attacking Aiden with everything. Aiden takes the hit, and at the end of turn, Aiden flashes in an Aven Mind Sensor. In response, Noah casts Lose Focus, countering Mind Sensor. The turn moves to Aiden. Aiden draws, plays a Volcanic Island, and passes. Noah draws and moves to combat, attacking Aiden with everything. Aiden takes the hit, and in his second main phase, Noah casts Teferi, Hero of Dominaria. In response, Aiden casts Remand, countering and bouncing Teferi to Noah's hand and drawing a card. At the end step, Aiden casts Impulse, looking at the top 4, putting 1 into their hand, the rest to the bottom, and Plane Cycles Timeless Dragon, fetching up a Plains into their hand, and the turn moves to Aiden. Aiden draws and casts Counterbalance, plays Fabled Passage, and passes. Noah draws and casts Teferi, Hero of Dominaria. Counterbalance triggers and reveals a Stifle. In response, Aiden delves some of their graveyard to help cast Logic Knot, where X equals 5. In response, Noah casts Counterspell, targeting Logic Knot. Counterbalance triggers, and in response, Aiden cracks their Fabled Passage, paying a life and fetching up an island onto the battlefield. Then, Counterbalance reveals Lavinia Azorius Renegade, countering Counterspell. Still in response, Noah casts Dovin's Veto, countering Logic Knot. Then, Teferi finally resolves, and Noah upticks him, drawing a card. He plays a Caracas and moves to combat, attacking Aiden with Solitude. Before damage, Aiden flashes in their own Solitude, exiling Noah's Solitude and gaining Noah 3 life. Noah untaps 2 lands and passes. Aiden draws, plays Lavinia Azorius Renegade, and moves to combat, attacking Teferi with Solitude. Before blocks, Noah casts Condemn, targeting Solitude. Counterbalance triggers, revealing Spell Snare, countering Condemn. Noah chumps with the Shark token, and in their second main phase, Aiden eternalizes Timeless Dragon, plays a Plains, and passes. Noah draws an upticks Teferi, draws a card, and flashes in Torrential Gearhulk, recasting Factor Fiction, revealing the top 5 cards. Aiden separates them into 2 piles, Noah takes the Wandering Emperor, and the rest go to his graveyard. He plays Prismatic Ending, where X equals 0, targeting the Dragon token. Counterbalance triggers and reveals Spell Snare, countering Ending. He untaps 2 lands and passes. Aiden draws and moves to combat, attacking Noah with everything. Noah blocks Solitude with Torrential Gearhulk, activates Caracas, bouncing Lavinia to Aiden's hand, and flashing in the Wandering Emperor. Counterbalance triggers, revealing a Force of Will. Noah downtakes Emperor, exiling the Dragon token. In their second main phase, Aiden plays Mystic Sanctuary, returning Council's Judgment to the top of their library, recasts Lavinia, Azorius Renegade, and passes. Noah draws, plays a Marsh Flats, upticks Teferi, drawing a card, animates Hall of Storm Giants, and moves to combat, attacking Aiden with everything. Aiden chumps with Lavinia, takes the rest, and in his second main phase, Noah upticks Emperor, giving Gearhulk a +1/+1 counter, and passes.
Oh, it's just every game whoever found the recall one.
Yeah.
Aiden draws, sees the writing on the wall, and Noah wins the match. For those of you in the Ames area who stuck around, come to Mayhem Comics in Ames this week and ask for the YouTube discount. You'll be asked the question, who won? Answer correctly and get 10% off your purchase. Thank you all so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe to catch future videos, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day.